Hello and welcome to episode 7 of this Impact Wrestling save. Tonight we are running 18 segments at 125 minutes. We are still on the road to Bound for Glory. Of course, it's still 2 months away. But I think we've got a really good card tonight, and we're building a lot of our feuds quite quickly and, in my opinion, in quite an interesting direction. So we'll just start the show here. The show opens. We attempt to do the same Don Callis, Josh Matthews run through the show, recap of last week's segment. But Moose interrupts. He's yelling and screaming again this week. Seems a bit manic, a bit frustrated, still without his title, of course. And yeah, he's no mic. He's just run ringside. You can hear him because of the ring mics and the announcer's mic at the side, but he doesn't have a mic of his own. But then he is interrupted after a couple minutes of roughing up people at ringside. He is interrupted by Heath, Slater, and Rhino. They go and stand up to Moose. They say, it's gone too far. Moose is all over the place. He needs to calm down and stop hurting people. He's not even here tonight. And, he's gonna need to stop being a bully. And Moose sort of stands over Heath and he's like, who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna do this? And Rhino goes, Rhino puts Heath forward. He's like, he's gonna stop you. And that sets up a Moose Heath segment. I believe the last segment was a 46. I didn't say that. This one's a 36, so actually worse. Unfortunately, the match gets a 35 in a 10-minute match. Heath Slater defeats Moose by pinfall with a roll-up, not on 100 tactics. After interference by EC3, I should say. Imagine the match is going on. Heath is just being battered. He is being brutalized by Moose. Again, we're trying to build Moose up a bit as a dominant big man. And I know him losing to Heath makes that seem counterproductive. But during the match, there's a ref bump. He's down. Rhino doesn't get in the ring. But EC3 comes from the crowd and hits Moose with a big move. Heath pins. Ref doesn't see anything. And Heath has a pin over the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. After the match, Heath and Rhino are celebrating like mad. They are all over the place. EC3 stands over the fallen Moose, drops the TNA World Heavyweight title in front of him, and says, "You'll need that. Seems like next week you've got a title defense," and walks out of the ring and back to the crowd. 48. Good written. Best written so far. Next up, we have a quick match between Tenille Dashwood and Kylie Rae, set up last week in their backstage segment. The match is going well. Friendly competitive because Tenille is still a babyface. A heel pretending to be babyface, but a babyface. And she gets a quick roll up on Kylie Rae. But she pulls on the tights. Josh Matthews on commentary will be like, "Oh, cheating. Dashwood just cheat to beat Kylie Rae." Hasn't changed her ways at all. Because that'll be Tenille Dashwood's big thing. Will be, oh, she's different now. She's not. She's a good guy. But Don Callis will be like, no, leverage. Tenille Dashwood 45, Kylie Rae 35. In the post-match segment, Kylie Rae gets up and she's a bit thrown. She points out the tight pulling, and Tenille Dashwood is like, oh, it was for leverage, but tries to play it off, extends the hand. Kylie Rae's like, okay, no problem, and they shake hands. Again, Kylie Rae being naive, the same way she has been before. 39-minute segment. Good way to continue the feud, I think, with Tenille Dashwood outsmarting Kylie Rae a bit along the way. Chris Bay and That's the Wrong Johnny. That's going to be the Wrong Johnny the whole show. It should be Johnny Swinger. Anyway, Bay and Swinger are backstage. I wonder, can I return to booking screen? I can fix that in the match, can't I? Where is it? This is going to show you what's happening in the match there, but it doesn't really matter. So what's happening on the segment you're seeing, essentially, by the way, is a segment between Johnny Swinger and Chris Bay, where Chris Bay will ask Johnny Swinger what they're going to do about the fact that last week Swinger was pinned by Tenille TJP, not Chris Bay. It was meant to be Chris Bay, but it wasn't because I made a mistake when booking. And Swinger's like, I got the perfect solution, kid. Don't worry about it. Later on tonight, I got you a match with TJP. And Chris Bay is furious because that's not at all what he wanted. He wanted Bravo or Swinger to deal with it and solve the problem for him, but he didn't. He got him a match with TJP later on in the show. So we're continuing the show. That time was 25, by the way. We get a 51, a great match between Eddie Edwards and Daga. They go all out. Daga looks good, but again, maybe there's that slight slip, that slight moment where you're like, something stops Daga from going over the top and beating your Impact World Champion. Yes, my Impact World Champion is fighting in the mid card, but I have nothing for him at the minute. Until next month. I have big plans for him next month, but not right now. As he gets a 55 and Daga gets a 43, Eddie Edwards defeated Daga in 12 minutes with a cross-legged Fisherman's Buster. After the match, when Daga goes backstage, he's again offered advice by Hernandez, but once again, shakes it off. 34 rated segment, not bad. Enjoying getting these two on screen, so it's working well. I think this month we've got a lot of the roster on some kind of story. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of the roster. There's 9 feuds going on or something, or 9 stories. Not all of them will go the whole way to Bound for Glory. We might have to switch some of them up to get them the whole way to Bound for Glory, but it's looking good. Here's our Chris Bay TJP match, as TJP gets the quick roll up on Chris Bay after a botch interference, as you would have seen when I was fixing the match. Don't know why it hasn't come up here, but there's a botch interference. Bay tries to hit, or Swinger tries to hit TJP, ends up hitting Chris Bay. TJP then gets the roll up pinfall. 43 to match. Bay 46, TJP 44. TJP was off his game, unfortunately, but now TJP has a legit pinfall, which he should have had last week, over the Impact X Division champion. And obviously after the match there's a celebration. There's an argument between Bay and Swinger in the ring, as TJP and Falaba celebrate their victory. 35 rated segment. Continues the feud well, I think. Kiera Hogan, in a quick match with Jordynne Grace, finds herself defeated after 8 minutes by a fall from Grace. Nothing much to say here. Good competitive match, but it's all about Jordynne Grace really in this match. 32 for Kiera Hogan, 41 for Jordynne Grace. 42 overall match. Decent. By the way, there's 300 people on the center stage arena tonight. After the match, Jordynne Grace again calls out Deonna Purrazzo, who does not come out. We haven't seen the Impact Women's Champion in 2 weeks now. Or Knockouts Champion, sorry. 31 rated segment, not bad. Continues moving on with the feud. Losing a bit of heat though, so we're going to need to pick it up next week. RVD is seen arriving before his match with Katie Forbes, and Melissa Santos again asks him what he is going to do about Sami Callihan. RVD, more frustrated this week, says Callihan isn't in his league, isn't in his rearview mirror or front mirror. He's not even thinking about it. So stop asking him, and then he storms off with Katie Forbes. Santos did poorly, Van Dam did well, but Santos worked well with the crowd. So there's something. 46 rating, not bad. In a 53 rated match, I think that's one of our better matches so far. Brian Myers is able to defeat RVD as Sami Callihan appears at ringside, scares Katie Forbes, distracts RVD, and Brian Myers is able to get the roll up. 39 for Brian Myers, 56 for RVD, I believe the best rating of the show. Van Dam and Forbes are a good pairing. Van Dam was off his game, out of 56. Katie Forbes did good work at ringside. And the segment afterwards, RVD is freaking out Callihan. Just laugh it off. Walk back up the entrance ramp as Brian Myers is celebrating like mad. He's holding up 4 fingers. He's yelling about being 4-0, and that he's going to go on the longest undefeated streak of all time. You can hear this over the mic with the announcers, obviously, as he's talking about how this is going to go beside his legendary streak. Callahan's face turn was hinted at in this segment, and of course the Brian Myers stuff is linked to a few episodes back. He had an interview where he said after one of his wins that he was on a new streak, to go alongside his previous history-setting streak, referencing his big losing streak. But he's not referring to the fact it's a losing streak, he's just saying he's got a thing for historic streaks. But everybody else around him obviously knows it's because he was a loser previously. But he hasn't lost yet in Impact, so 37 rating. Pretty good. And then the big 8-man tag in the tag division that we set up last week, 51 rated match, as Ace Austin, Madman Fulton and the North defeat the Guns and the Good Brothers, as much like Ace Austin said last week, nobody in the tag division, and especially in the Guns, can handle Madman Fulton, as Madman Fulton gets the pinfall over Alex Shelley. Anderson gets a 48, Gallows a 46, Sabin 47, Shelley 51, Fulton 41, the worst in the match, I believe. No, it's actually not. Ace 52, Just Alexander 43, and Page 40. Ace Austin made a new move. He is going, when we get round to pushing him back up the card, the kid is going to be a star for us. It's just right now what he's got going on with Fulton is also very good. I have quite a few plans for him, actually, quite a few feuds that I think we could actually do really good with, even maybe adding another person to the Fulton Austin arrangement. That's not their name. It was just the way I chose to say it, but yeah, we'll add maybe someone else to them, and the stable could actually be a pretty good thing long run for us. I have a couple of wee feuds that I would maybe like to get the two of them involved in. After, of course, we're done with this tag team division stuff. And then the show closes with a 35 as the heels all celebrate, as Shelley and Sabin look shocked, and we have a similar sort of position. Sabin and Shelley are one end of the ring looking shocked, Anderson and Gallows at the other side sort of looking a bit peeved that they've lost. Again, it's clear that the faces aren't friends. There seems to be mutual respect, but they're not friends. So there's no sort of maybe lack of chemistry there, and of course Anderson and Gallows don't really help Shelley and Sabin up after their defeat. That's the show. 34 regions we increased in, 49 overall rating. I think that's good enough for all of our broadcasters. I think that's actually our best show so far. Actually quite proud of it. I think the show is actually going really well right now. Next week we will have a TNA World Heavyweight title match between Heath and Moose, and we will probably have another Tenille Dashwood match, and the rest of these stories will continue on as well. There's 9 stories going on at the minute, so we're trying to keep them all going, and that's why some of them have been intertwined. We got Eddie Edwards on TV in the Daga story. We got Brian Myers' story that's not even a storyline that I'm keeping track of. In the Rob Van Dam story, Heath Slater's story is being intertwined with Moose and EC3, so we're sort of overlapping a lot of the stories. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Cheers.